Hello everyone. Another video coming at you from the deepest, darkest crevices of my mind. Welcome to Existentially Fed, a place where we get to process things that society tells us we are not allowed to talk about. And through creating that space, we free ourselves from the stagnancy that comes from ignoring the elephant in the room. Ignoring things only gets you so far, and usually that so far is you being in the same cycle over and over again, repeating yourself over and over again, having questions and concerns for things that may have answers that are readily accessible to you if you just had the platform to express what you're curious about. I'm a true believer that expressing yourself makes you more visible to people who will understand you, and makes you more visible to people who have the same questions that you do. That alleviates a lot of the loneliness that comes with some of these topics, especially the heavier ones. Usually in this space, I've been keeping it light. I'm a real y'all, okay? I've been keeping it light because there are baby steps that come with processing our emotions and reflecting on our experiences here on Earth. For a lot of people, facing the things that they are concerned about, or the things they don't have answers for, or the parts of themselves that they don't understand yet, that can be overwhelming. And so I wanted this platform to be accessible to people wherever they are in that journey. All I ask of you is openness, is a vulnerability, a desire to understand yourself, others, and the world in a more intentional way. And I hope, as a facilitator of this space, that I'm able to make you feel safe in that process, allow you to move through those emotions free of judgment. And so with that being said, I wanted to give a bit of a content warning for this episode. Content warning for the political state of the world. I feel like at this point, everybody can see it, everybody can hear it, and everybody is terrified of what is to come. And so I want to give y'all the space to opt in to this reflection with me. I understand that there's a lot happening right now. There's a lot that is creating despair right now, and that is the core of this video today. And in the vein of my content warning, let's get into it. Ain't nothing right now. Ain't nothing right. Life as we know it right now is in the trenches. And, unfortunately, something that I've noticed with this time is the amount of performance that people are putting on to keep it together. It's truly remarkable the ways that we as a collective have learned this trait of avoidance and denial, and just bypassing our emotions. And I'm not saying that to tear anyone down. I'm not saying that to demonize anyone, although I will get to that. I will get to that. I'm saying this because that in itself is a trauma response. When it comes to trauma, if you know anything about trauma, at a certain point, especially if you are still in the harmful environment that formed your trauma to begin with, survivors can regulate themselves by finding a way to adapt to their abuse, finding a way to coexist with the reality that they know is causing them pain. And in a way, the brain forms this numbness that is honestly an act of love, although it has some long-term negative effects. It's the brain finding a way to survive in that situation. And for many people who are experiencing abuse, the only way that they can make it to the next day is to find a way to convince themselves well, at least this can't get worse. Not that this isn't bad, but it can't get any worse than this if my body just doesn't react. And in a way, the body also prepares itself for if things were to get worse. It's kind of like it's consistently proving it to itself that it can withstand more and more pressure, more and more harm. I'm going to specifically talk about within the context of the United States, but know that this is a global experience. This is the entire planet that we're talking about. Every stretch of land in which humans exist is experiencing some trickle down of this misery. But let me just lay it out for you. Let me lay it out for you real quick. So the standard of living right now is set up so that millions of people are one check away from houselessness, if not already houseless, where people can barely afford basic necessities for their well-being, i.e. food, medical treatment, any type of mobility and accommodations that gets them from point A to point B, in addition to shelter. And that in itself is also restricting people's ability to commune, because when you don't have your needs met, it's very hard to regulate to a point where you can even connect with another human being. So people are enduring this struggle in isolation. And on top of all that, it's being criminalized to show any signs of these things impacting you. Education is being utterly destroyed. Marginalized identities are actively being targeted for simply existing. I've seen food recall after food recall. I've seen nothing but consistent warnings about the ways that we've been polluting our water with chemicals, polluting our air with chemicals. And on top of it all, we are to bear witness to an election between two people who are using whatever talking points they have to convince people to vote for them so that they can continue to have power and ignore these very issues. And then we somehow convince ourselves and others that the mental health crisis is simply circumstantial. Mental illness is the only way to respond to what is happening right now. Imagine being inspired to be a politician, because you would think that the inspiration to be a politician is to bring order and justice and resources and healing to humanity. But no, it seems like all of these people are fighting for these positions of power as if they're superlatives in a high school yearbook. These people only care about the legacy that their name is attached to. It's not about making sure people have food to eat. It's not about making sure people have homes. As long as their names are plastered on every social media platform, every news outlet, that is enough to satisfy them. And they will talk in circles until they are blue in the face, just to hold on to that position of power. That is entirely Trump's identity. That man truly just wants to be seen. And this is where there's degrees to the ailment that is taking place. There's an ailment of innocent people who are just suffering by the hands of the systems at B, and are just subjected to that torment and don't necessarily take that and transmute it into inflicting pain on other people. But that is a pipeline that can take place. When you create an environment in which people feel like they need to compete for basic necessities, there are some people who don't want to opt into that competition. But just like in any other species, when you make the resources so scarce, some people are going to turn on one another. And that is what we are witnessing on a large scale. People are turning on humanity. If it means them having a place to sleep at night, if it means them getting their needs met, if it means money lining their pockets, They will throw anybody under the bus, and they will throw anybody's rights away to protect themselves. In this election time alone, we've seen numerous celebrities be exposed and outed as active Republicans, active Trump supporters. And when you ask them, girl, what? Their response is, oh, he's gonna protect my business. Oh, he's going to everything, money, 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 money. Everything that comes out of their mouth, money. Completely disregarding that the people with only a few pennies to their names are the ones who are giving you the social and the physical currency to have your career even exist. That is the level of disconnect that people have reached. And the thing with that is that, like, I'm a believer that there will be an expiration date on that. Those people who enable you to destroy others will enable you and lead you to the destruction of yourself, eventually. If these people don't have a regard for basic human life, what makes you think that they won't choose themselves if it comes down to them or you? And that's what these people don't realize. The destruction that they are creating in this world will touch them eventually. Because much like the physical pollutant that's going in the air, they are polluting the minds of other people in a way where it goes completely against human nature. To be this disconnected, to be this full of hatred, to be this attached to material things, to be this deluded into getting your validation from false prophets, honestly, is going to be the demise of these people. And unfortunately, I can't relish in that, because innocent people always end up in the crossfires of that. And as evil as these people are, there are people who once had hope, who once cared about those around them and in their lives, who once maybe cared about humanity as well. Because I don't believe that everybody just comes out of the womb this selfish and diabolical. There is a turning point for a lot of these people that forms them into the people that they are today, or at least environments that groom them into being so detrimental. And we've seen this in the ways that people are falling so quickly into alt-right pipelines, and people are taking up conservative talking points and belief systems. That is because they are creating and casting the illusion that if you want to survive, if you want to make money, if you want to live in a big house, if you want to do this, that, and the third, you have to align yourself with us. You have to get our protection. You have to get our approval. And if you don't, you will be left for dead like the rest of them. And the rest of them typically involves marginalized people. Even people within these communities are pivoting in that direction because they believe that that is their only way of getting their needs met and being protected in society. The ways that these people are feeding off of fear is absolutely absurd. And so people are having to make the very sinister choice of abandoning their humanity, abandoning their neighbors, their loved ones, abandoning empathy to get the illusion of protection that these people are dangling in front of our faces. And the people who are fighting for the liberation of all of us, they're being attacked. They're being silenced. And it's just like, I'm watching this all unfold, seeing the ways that everybody is distracted by this back and forth, this power play taking place, when there are people who really need help on every surface of this earth. There are people who are begging to be seen, begging to be heard, begging to just be able to survive, when really they deserve to live, but they have to settle for surviving for now. And they will find some way of creating a life out of the little time that they're given, the little resources that they're given. No human should have to settle for that. That is not why we are here. That is not why we've been given a chance to be on this planet, to settle for the bare minimum, to barter for our ability to survive, for our ability to exist, for the ownership of our own bodies. I refuse to believe that that is why we are here. We are 5 days away from this election. Do you want to know what my prediction is going to be? My prediction is that we are going to need to find our people, find the communities of people with hearts big enough to protect one another. People who still have their empathy intact, to connect to collaborate with, to heal with. I'm not gonna tell you who I think is gonna be president, because no matter what, the forces that we are battling against are much bigger and much deeper and have existed for a longer amount of time than these two people. And so I ask you to raise your standards beyond autopilot, beyond numbing, beyond pretending like you can just cruise right through all of this, and to choose life, to choose living. Find the people who will make you feel alive, who will fight for your right to live. And in this lifetime, dedicate to creating something beautiful with those people. If we cannot break this cycle, because these entities, these powers that be are that relentless, be the reason why someone after you has the resources that they need to find hope and a will to live. Because that is what our ancestors did. As they were being abused and tormented and exploited and extracted from, they were passing along knowledge to their communities. And this was before phones, by word of mouth. There had to be people who were willing to do what it took to make that happen for us to have any semblance of the freedom that we have right now. And these entities, these beings, these people are trying to unwrite every single thing that our ancestors fought for. And more specifically, they are trying to unwrite it for specific people so that they can indulge in those very pleasures. There's not that much complexity to what our ancestors were fighting for. Our ancestors were fighting for a basic right to a life worth living. That's it. They were striving for rest. They were striving for pleasure. They were striving for having their curiosities met, exploration. They were striving for the ability to create. They were striving for everything that makes life worth living, worth experiencing. It's as simple as that. Our ancestors were fighting for your right to sit in a moment and be present in your body and to feel. That's what they were fighting for. And it hurts me so deeply to see humanity reduced to what it has become, for real. And I don't care if people think I'm too sensitive. The way we are moving is no way to live. The way we are engaging with each other is so void of meaning, of purpose. It's literally killing us. to live like this. It's killing us, it's killing the planet. And people are taking that pain out on one another. When are we just gonna acknowledge that we are suffering and do what we need to do to help each other actually heal from this? We have actual things that are worth our attention. And we have these people doing this little dance in front of us and keeping us from actually dedicating our time and attention to those wounds. And so my prediction for the election is that we need to get our shit together. Like our lives actually depend on it. We cannot wait for another person to tell us what we want to hear. Stop taking words as fact, as truth, as action, because that's not what they are. These people know what they're doing. They are siphoning energy that is supposed to go towards our capacity. It's not about being an expert, because as far as I'm concerned, we are all just trying to figure out what this life is supposed to mean. But I hope that at the very least we could agree that we all deserve the right to find out what fulfillment truly feels like without the limitations of not having access to food to eat, not having access to no shelter, feeling at danger when you're walking down the street, feeling like you can't trust another human with your life. There is more to this experience than the isolation, physically and mentally, that these people are setting us up for. And I do not believe for a second that humans should be living in this way. And I don't believe for a second that humans can survive long-term living this way. We exist on such an abundant planet, and as much as we neglect it, as much as we abuse it, it still gives back. It still pushes beyond grief to be there. And I want to personally spend every waking second that I'm alive cherishing that opportunity and cherishing it with my loved ones. I want to record stories of how beautiful it is to exist, how grateful I am that this earth decides to breathe life into me. That is what my ancestors fought for. My right to experience this. My right to know this, to love this, and to share it, to give back to it. And it's just been so devastating to see people abandon that and settle for less. Thank you for going on that journey with me, because I feel like I need moments like this. Not only to share my thoughts with other people, but just like to have a space where I can release it all. And through these processes, I feel more connected to myself. And I feel more connected to my purpose and what I wanted of life and what I want for the people around me. What I want for people who come after me, even if I'm not here to witness it. That stuff means a lot to me. And I don't care if this country tries to make me feel crazy for that. I will see it through. But for the people who have stuck around and are thinking, feeling, making sense of the things that are moving through their bodies right now, I have another journal prompt that I think, if you give the chance, could actually connect you deeper with yourself. I know I want you to create a bucket list, as simple as that, of things that you want to experience in this life. And not just sights you want to see, places you want to go to, but things you want to feel. Ways you want to be understood and cared for. Things you want to leave behind, impact that you want to create. Write it all down, because it's really helped me to write down some of these things, these intangible things that I want to experience. Because creating language for those desires brings you one step closer to them actually coming to fruition. And I want you to follow your heart to the places that will make these things come true. I want you to actually live a life where your pursuit of liberation and freedom and joy has a ripple effect on those around you. Makes you have a lust for life where you are willing to fight for these feelings. Fight for the ability to experience these things. And not just for yourself, but fight for every human being who walks this earth to have access to the same journey. When the election results come out, I want us, no matter what series of emotions that we move through in the moment, to not be paralyzed by those feelings. Remember, you are deserving of all things that fill your heart up. And you are not just a body. You are not just an employee. You are not just a vessel. You are a person. Thank you for being part of this space with me. And I hope that we can be proactive together.